our chaotic days ahead here at Disneyland. I mean, we did catch some of that today. It was bonkers for a while. Bigger crowds, longer queues, plus we're gonna talk about our D23 predictions. This is our State of Disneyland report. This is Fresh Baked. Once more into the breach, Fresh Baked. Big day for Disneyland, in my opinion, in terms of where we're at in the state of Disneyland and the state of things. We're supposed to be busy today. It's supposed to be busy. Plus, we're gonna be talking about D23 stuff. Let's get into the park. Let's get this show started. This show that you're watching is our State of Disneyland report. For those of you who are new to the show, new to the format, we're gonna take a complete tour around the entire park, every land and every attraction. We're gonna be talking about whatever's newsworthy along the way as we make our way through the park. We're gonna be doing a little park science, a little queue science, talking about reading queues, go, no, go. And by the end of this hour, or more, hopefully, you will know what is the State of Disneyland. As we approach Main Street for our first vibe check on the afternoon, I said it's supposed to be busy. I do a lot of comparing things to years past. I have all kinds of, data, all kinds of video from years past going all the way back to 2016. And one thing I can say is that I usually have a pretty good idea, and these Main Street crowds actually do seem to support that. I feel a bit of pressure. By the way, there was an incredible amount of people at the Toy Story parking lot this morning when I arrived at the park at 10:30. It's worth noting, by the way, that this is not unusual. This is actually kind of typical, or I've seen this many times before and after the changes in the bus. This is not necessarily a result of the new bus systems or the new buses. We've experienced that many times before. This is most likely due to just it being busier in the parks these days, given the time that we're here now, which is a peak time for buses. 10:30 a.m. is peak time. It's not unusual at all to see a crowd like that. So that's a pretty good sign. That's a pretty good sign that the guests are showing up here for the tail end of this summer season as we approach Halloween. And you may have noticed no 70th decorations down there on Main Street, no sign out there at Town Square. We are definitely heading in that direction. They've already got decorations up at DCA. They've got the bats. They took down the other 7th decoration there. They've got decorations in the windows at DCA. I don't know if we'll find anything like that here today. Technically, the 70th is still on. They've still got the banners up here at the castle, which look like they look like part of the permanent scenery, but they are not. They will take those down, and we'll get the traditional purple ones here at back, I'm sure. But one thing I want to look at before we even get into the show proper, something that we used to do every week, was taking a look at the reservation calendar. This one is particularly interesting, especially for those who are on the side of things where they're saying reservations are constantly available. They have been available, which I wouldn't argue, but that's always the case during the summer. Once you get out of the summer season and towards getting into the fall season and into the Halloween season, reservations start to get a little more complicated. So this is what we found today. This is the single day ticket calendar, obviously wide open. However, today was sold out on our year over year calendar. Today was sold out. Matter of fact, the park was technically sold out, and that was sort of the subject of the video last year. Well, I don't think we're gonna get that situation today because tickets are available, single day tickets are available today.
Just want to say thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you guys.
You all the time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Disney that much, but
Oh, it's awesome to hear. Thank you guys.
Have a good day.
You too. But check out the Inspire Key. This is something that we haven't seen for a while. Today, we have a sold out day today. Today is sold out. Also, Thursday is sold out. 2 days sold out this week. That's trending in that direction of things starting to get a little more complicated, starting to get a little more difficult to book reservations. And then also, obviously, August 21st is sold out. That's the first day of Halloween season. Hopefully you guys got your reservations. So it's starting to get a little bit harder to make a reservation, but it's still not quite as busy as things were last year, judging by those measurables, which are, sometimes that's all we got, is that and looking at the crowds. Let's go to Adventureland. scrim and scaffold up at the Adventureland Bazaar. That was a surprise. I haven't seen this situation in quite some time. The closest thing we had to this was back when they closed off Adventureland for a little while, when they were taking out the tree for Tarzan Treehouse. But I'm having a hard time actually getting through here. My goodness. It's slightly because the walls have come out just a little bit more, so it's a little bit harder to negotiate this part of the path. But that's interesting. I'm feeling pressure, and for me, that's one of the ways that I sort of measure business, how busy it is how difficult it is to get through certain parts of the park. How difficult is it to walk through a gift shop? How difficult is it to navigate, a street here in Adventureland? Which, by the way, things have opened up quite a bit. And then once we got through that choke point, because the walls were closed in. How's it going? So it's a little bit more open here. Let's get into Jungle Cruise. Right here, where I'm seeing a 30-minute posted wait time. How does that stack up versus what we see? Well, full on the left, although I see traffic moving quite freely there. That could be temporary, because it could be that they just recently opened up the right side. Normally we don't see that occupied. Normally that side of things is empty. Normally they're able to keep everything on this side, so it is picking up there. Plus, look at that, there's that posted 30-minute wait time. They're starting to back up down here on the ground, which also, again, is not typical. I often, if I'm trying to decide if I'm going on Jungle Cruise, I will slide in here to this old Indiana Jones Fast Pass kiosk station and see how full things are down here, which is quite full. That is unusual. You don't normally see that. That's the reason they opened up that area back there. That's why it looks like the traffic is moving, because they just opened that area because they're feeling a little pressure on the ground floor, which they don't prefer. They prefer that to be open. So they probably just recently opened that to keep the crowd moving, and that's why you're seeing the left side active like it is. But still, Jungle Cruise, that's a go. That's always a go for me. Also a go is this 45-minute posted wait time for Indiana Jones. Are you serious? I mean, the queue they've got it down here. They're starting to slide them to the left as opposed to sending them directly into the queue, which means that we should find a very full queue back here, which I also recommend you guys coming back here. If you're ever trying to decide if you're going to get into the Indy queue, come back here and check out how full this queue is. Not only how full it is, but how well it's moving. It's not moving well at all. This is moving none. There's I see no shoulders moving. I see no current. I see a bunch of standing guests. This is bad. This is very bad. I'm kind of surprised they're calling that 45 minutes. That's the kind of queue that I'm looking at right here. And with what we saw out there as well, it's the kind of queue that they would call 55, 60 maybe. But I'm really curious about why it's so stuck. There's no movement back there at all. Look for that. Look for that. I did a whole video on if there was one single thing that I would like to teach people how to do, or I would like the common guest to be able to do better, is to be able to look at the texture of a queue like that and determine if it's a queue that's moving or not, because that tells you if guests aren't getting through the queue. It tells you, there's something wrong. When they're stuck like that, there should be movement, at least in one or two parts. Hi guys. There should be movement in at least one or two parts of that queue. There was movement nowhere. Something's wrong. Indeed, this queue here is getting bottlenecked a little bit. They've still got it at 45 though. That's fascinating. Indiana Jones, it's going down for a refurb very soon, which I think is going to be something like a 5 or 6 weeks refurb. Okay, Indy's going down for a refurb, 5 or 6 weeks, starting in a couple of weeks, I think. You guys see that? There it is. That's a moving wheel at the treehouse. Unsure how many months it's been, but that is a moving wheel here at the Adventureland Treehouse, which means there's water back in the treehouse. Huzzah! I cannot believe it. What a wonderful day. The wheel is moving, the water's running, but still no buckets. The buckets are not moving still. I'm kind of low-key having a hard time moving on from that. That was such a surprise. Such a surprise to see that happening. I'm so glad they finally got that done. Okay, so that brings us to New Orleans Square, where we're going to talk about Pirates real quick. But then I want to get into our first bit of D23 predictions. I'm going to talk about those in this show. just those predictions specific only to Disneyland. I won't be getting into Walt Disney World because I just don't know it very well, or any of the other international parks. But Pirates, that is a posted 25-minute queue. We've got 2 ropes out, 2 switchbacks of extended queue out here. And I kind of get troubled by this sometimes, why they choose to do this, because it does create another bottleneck here. The more that, especially when it's, hi guys, when it gets beyond those 2 switchbacks, then they start getting out here into wild space and it starts to clog up the path here. But they don't have to, they could use, the bridge is only being half used right now. They can turn the bridge on. They could also, I feel like they might be better off running, hi guys, how are you? Hi guys. Running some of those guests in here. And actually I do think now that I look at it, we've got somebody actually, I think they are, hi guys. I think they are looking at perhaps adjusting this queue, because you don't, oh man, anyway, this is a 25-minute queue all day, or I should say 25 and under. Certainly it's not longer than that, but I think you can get into this space within, out here in the extended queue, you can get within this space maybe in 10 minutes or so. But really there are no-goes for me at Pirates now that they've taken Lightning Lane off. There's just, I can't conceive of a queue I don't want to get into. I will reiterate here also that it is our opinion that you should be going left, not right. It used to be right. It used to be right, but now it's left, because the right queue has to go around that tree, and then they send their queue all the way down there, and then they send the queue back. And it's a pretty lengthy stretch where it makes about a 4-minute difference between the left side and the right side. I've clocked this several times, 5-6 different times, and every time the left side wins by about 4 or 5 minutes. They get to the door in about 4 or 5 minutes faster. With that, Fantasmic. If you've been watching our construction reports, we've been sort of getting into, in our other reports as well about Fantasmic, but recently they've had some issues with some of the mechanics of the show here. The mist screens are not working the way that they should. Those platforms that everything rests on have been stuck in the up position, to the point where I'm not even sure if they're able to, if the show's not able to function correctly. Now, I did a video a while back where I was predicting that they're going to close this river and they're going to close the island in January of 27, and that we're going to get a new show, or a new dragon, and well, actually an updated show as well for Fantasmic that's going to take about a year after that. So maybe in, maybe the end of 27 or something like that. When it comes to D23, I think that's exactly what we're going to get. They're going to tell us about a new maybe a concept art, or maybe even some sort of animatic, or I don't know, of a new and improved Murphy right there on the right side of that stage, and then perhaps some concept art for some of the new elements or some of the new features that might be part of the new show. It's not going to be just a replacement of Murphy. I think we're getting a revamped show for the whole thing. I mean, it's going to be essentially the same, but there's going to be some new and improved elements. So that I'm expecting that. I'm expecting an announcement. I'm predicting an announcement for Fantasmic at D23, but they're not going to get into, they won't get into what it's going to take. What's the consequence? What is the punch and tickle? What is the punch of that punch and tickle? And the punch is that they're going to close the river and Tom Sawyer Island for probably a year. In the meantime, I've been keeping an eye on cast, and the density of this crowd has lessened to the point where, hi guys, I think they're actually going to shorten the queue. Where I thought they might extend it because it was getting a little busy down here, I think they're going to shorten. He's waiting for some sort of cue, some sort of signal. He's standing by, but you can see how open. There's a lot of gaps in the guests. There are a lot of gaps down here. It's a very free-flowing queue for one reason or another, and they are, I think they might actually, wow. So it's still 25. I wonder, we got some more business to do over here in New Orleans Square. Maybe I pop in here in a little bit just to see, but this is absolutely a beautiful looking queue right now. So on the topic of this year versus last, I kind of feel like we're not that busy. This is a very gettable park right now. Not busy at all. Oh my gosh, and by the way, that queue is happening the way it is in spite of the fact that Haunted Mansion is closed. Here we go, our first sign. It closed on Friday. It is now Monday. So this is closed. Every guest that would have been in this queue today is somewhere else, and the most likely location for that guest is going to be whatever's nearby. So Pirates of the Caribbean, or perhaps Tiana's too, or on the other side towards Bayou Country. So that's an interesting observation. I would have expected a bigger queue there at Pirates because of this. We missed it. I don't know if you heard it before, but the Jambalaya Jazz Band just finished a set, and the vocals are still here. Love to see that. That's a new thing, having a vocalist with the band, and that's such a good thing that I think I might try to get some lunch here at Tiana's Palace if they cooperate with me. And I am going to follow my own advice as well and not mobile order, which presently mobile order has a 25 to 40 minute return time. Not that that would be permanent. I could obviously probably refresh that down, but standby here is a breeze at French Market or at Tiana's Palace, especially when they're running two sides like they are, which is a go. But I'll get in this queue right here and be done in, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. And I think that's what we're getting right there is the French Quarter fried chicken bowl. And we were able to find a nice shady spot here on another hot day here at the Disneyland Resort. It's 84 degrees out right now, but it's not too busy in there. And although it's busy under the canopy, it's less so out here where it's sunny, but I got a little bit of shade here, so I think we're gonna be okay. Let's talk about what I ordered. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about how long that took. That was 8 minutes. I don't know if you can see that, 8 minutes from door to table. It took me 8 minutes to get my food, and actually it was a little bit of a crawl. I feel like we could have got that food maybe a couple minutes sooner than that, but we got stuck in the queue a little bit. So it was 8 minutes, although I will also say that 25 to 40 minute standby for mobile order is a now. But still, when you get mobile order, what you don't get is a plate of food. you get a box, you get a plastic Tupperware type thing, whereas here we get a nice plate with silverware. It's great. I much prefer this. Now, as for our food, we did get the French Quarter fried chicken. That's spicy honey glazed fried chicken served with baked macaroni and cheese and collard greens. I don't know if I remember this correctly. I've had this just once before, and I thought it was going to be like a short. It's not a permanent menu item. They still have the little sign out there which suggests that it's not, but it's been here for a while. Anyway, I don't remember it being this meager. The chicken is kind of a very conservative piece of chicken is the best way I can put that. You can get more when you buy chicken strips. You get more, but then again, you're not getting mac and cheese or collard greens. But still, this does seem like a fairly small amount of chicken. I'll be able to finish this with ease. I will mention also that the macaroni and cheese is actually kind of a small portion. It's supposed to be a side dish, but I was expecting maybe a little bit more. The collard greens, that portion size is fine. But I guess they have to do that in order to keep the price point at $17.99. Here is that fried chicken. You can see there's a little bit, I don't know if you can, but they drizzle, like mustard, they drizzle the hot honey on there. I mean, it's good. It's good. The chicken itself is sort of a standard cut. It's boneless, by the way. No bones in this. And the breading, it's very much a KFC style breading. But I do enjoy the hot honey on there. Yeah. That's pretty good, actually. We'll get back to that, but I want to get into these collard greens right here. These have been something of a revelation for me in recent times. I never really had much opportunity to have collard greens. I'm fairly certain the first collard greens I ever had was either here or maybe at the Jazz Kitchen in downtown Disney. Those are really good. I don't know how to compare. I don't know if they're good, like if they're done properly, because I've only ever had them here. I have no palate for collard greens, but I do enjoy their texture. It's a little mush, which is fine, but it's kind of a crunchy mush. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's that whatever it is that they're tossing them in, it's got kind of a salty, bittery note to it. that I really like, for vegetables that is. It's one of my preferred ways of enjoying vegetables is the collard green style. As for the mac and cheese, as I mentioned, it is baked, which is, again, I've said this before, not my preferred way to get mac and cheese. I'm a Velveeta guy. Okay, those are okay. It's very cheesy, like texture-wise. You can get that note. I don't know. Yeah, they're good. They're good. Especially if you like bake. They're pretty good. Although, like I said, I like the Kraft Velveeta style. But you may or may not have heard that Disney's now got an agreement, a partnership with Kraft. And we're going to start seeing more Kraft items in the park. And that means like their ketchup and mustard and all that, but hopefully also their mac and cheese. I don't think we're going to get the Velveeta style though. What if I put some of those collard greens together with the mac and cheese? Am I going to have a ratatouille moment? That's fascinating. That's not bad. I kind of like that. It cuts because both of them have a very dominant note to it, to the point where you can't eat too much of it. You get bored because it's such a single note. But you mix that in a little bit, maybe you got something fun. Let's get back to that chicken though. Finish my thoughts on this. That was an interesting bite right there. I don't know how to describe it, but Liz, if you're watching, it's that part you don't like. a little. I don't know if chewy is the right word, but yeah, this is very much like the fried chicken you might get at KFC without the bones in it. It needs more honey. This has none of that. All right, I think I remember giving this a 5 out of 5 first time we had it. I'm a little less impressed this time, and that's typical. They tend to lose their enthusiasm for dishes, and the plating was not exactly miraculous. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Everything is pretty good. Nothing that to get upset about, but it's just not as good as it was. 4 out of 5. And by the way, for $17.99, a decent value. I would have liked a little more protein for that, but it's not a bad value. Cheers. All right, let's get back to work. And when I say work, I actually mean filming Jack Sparrow sitting on a raft on his way to Tom Sawyer Island. Yes, that is my job. That's all the rum gone. All right, where were we? We were talking about Haunted Mansion. That'll be back open in 2 weeks. Well, less than that now, on August 21st. So that's next. Let's see, I guess we're on our way to Bayou Country. Let's get this show back on track. Positive vibes coming out of Tiana's right now. I can hear the music, I can hear the water. It is sometimes the case it breaks down when we're doing these reports. Yeah, I see boats. All right, good. There they go. Still no waterfall here though. Oh, that boat is a little sideways. That got a little cattywampus there, didn't it? I've been told that sometimes they can jump the tracks. That's one of the reasons why Jungle Cruise, if it ever breaks down, it is sometimes the case. It's because the boat actually jumped the track a little bit. And dude, Goofy's on Tiana's Bayou Adventure right now. It has been the case sometimes that the Jungle Cruise boat will actually skip the track a little bit, and they got to tow it back in. They got to get it back on the thing, and then they got to tow it back in. So what does that mean? It's a hot day. It's 84 out. I should be expecting a pretty good sized queue here. Posted 50, and they are in the garden. Oh boy. Not my favorite place to find the Tiana's queue is in this garden right here, and you can see they are feeling it. They're not moving, and there's no cover. It's very sunny out here. Hi guys. How are you? No cover, so you wind up cooking in there a little bit. You wind up baking, and it's not the good kind of baking. It's the sweaty, oh my gosh. It makes me not want to get in that queue. I wish they could find more ways to provide cover for these attractions in more places, but sometimes, man, and I don't know how they do it in Walt Disney World, but it's the reason why, or one of the reasons why anyway, there's several, why they build those big, Best Buy size buildings, Walmart size, Costco size buildings, and put the rides in it rather than having them outside, because you can control the environment, but you can also control the temperature, and you control all kinds of things. Because that's, I mean, there is shade in that queue, but not enough. But yeah, this would be a no-go for me. I don't like the looks of that queue. I don't like the looks of a 50-minute wait. I don't like the looks of them being stuck up there. That's not good. But at least they're not in extended 1 and extended 2. This is good. It is often the case. Well, when it was really busy, it used to be common. I haven't seen a queue out here in extended 1. This is extended 1 right here. I haven't seen a queue out here in quite a long time, even on a hot day. I haven't seen it, and then even more rare is when it's in extended 2, which is after they cross this section right here, they would run a queue. You can see the stanchions markings right there. They would run the queue around this tree. Yeah. When you see extended 2, man, you're just like, oh man, turn around and walk away. Go away. It's not going to happen for you today. So as long queues go, this is not the, it could still be worse. It could still be worse. But 50 minutes, I don't like that. I would try to find something else to do for a little while. Actually, on a hot day, you could just find some way to wait till maybe 5 or 6 o'clock. The queue just, by definition, water rides tend to get less busy as the sun gets closer to setting. The cooler it gets, the less inclined people are to get into these queues. The hotter it gets, the more inclined they are, right? So either do it early or do it late. I prefer late. I prefer 5 or 6 o'clock and on. It's a walk on at night pretty much always. So definitely try to be patient when it comes to planning for Tiana's, unless you absolutely have to do it in the middle of the day, and that's like your goal. But it looks like this queue is getting worse by the minute. It's starting to come up the ramp here. That's never good. I almost forgot to check in on Winnie the Pooh. Posted 15. It's always a go, but I always, you got to cover every attraction. I mean, there's never a no situation for Winnie the Pooh, right? But here we go. That's not a 15. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's 10. I don't know, but it's a go. Go enjoy. Winnie the Pooh's delightful. This queue is delightful. Just look at the queue. You don't even get it right. Just like, can I leave? It's a Bayou country. While we're on our way to Galaxy's Edge, I guess that's our next stop. We could talk a little bit more about D23. What are they going to talk about? Well, first of all, I already mentioned Fantasmic. What I'm really paying attention, one of the key things I'm paying attention to, and there's really no appropriate spot to talk about it in Disneyland because it's happening at DCA, but that's Avatar. Now, we know that Avatar was mentioned in the last earnings call, that was one of the projects that they were working on, and it makes perfect sense that they would include that in there. But I don't remember, I haven't seen the transcript and I didn't listen, but I don't remember I don't know if they talked about it directly as being in DCA or it's just an ongoing project. If it's the former, then they should have no problem mentioning it at D23. If it's the latter, then we got some drama. Because if it's just an ongoing project, whether or not they put it in DCA, it's still an ongoing project. That makes sense. But I'm waiting to hear, if they don't mention Avatar at all, first of all, that's a huge tell. But again, as we've seen, they mentioned it at that earnings call, so that's more than likely they are going to mention it at D23. But the question is, in which context? If they don't say anything about the land itself, if they don't say anything about DCA specifically, it's a huge, huge tell that they're not going forward. Plus, we've got the news that James Cameron has opted out. He's like, I'm done. I'm done with Avatar. That doesn't necessarily mean that Disney's done with Avatar, but I can't imagine, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to continue Avatar without James Cameron? Honestly. Like, and what they're thinking, well, maybe the reason why he's dropping out is because they don't want to put the budget behind it. Fire and Ash did poorly, and it was the reason, when I made a video about this, and I said the reason why they don't want to continue with Avatar is, even though it made $1 billion or whatever, it cost $1 billion or something like that, right? So it's on a downward trend. The revenues are on a downward trend. 4 is probably going to suck, and that's with a budget. People are over Avatar, I think. Now, I'm not saying that personally. I just think in general the populace is over Avatar. So I'm waiting to see if they mention it. If they don't say anything about DCA specifically, that's going to be a huge tell. If they don't mention it at all, even bigger, but I do think they will. Maybe some new concept art. I mean, well, that's all we've gotten in 5 years, however long it's been, is just talk the Avatar experience, like 2 pieces of concept art, and that's it. In how many years? They need to get some forward momentum on this thing. Which brings us to Galaxy's Edge, and that is the back of. They're in actually Section 4. A little bit of it. I'm actually walking through Section 4. They've taken down some of the stanchions out here, but there's 2 switchbacks of 4, which is huge. I haven't seen a Section 4 queue at Galaxy's Edge or at Rise of the Resistance in quite a long time. We're seeing it in Section 1, Section 2, and sometimes Section 3. But having it go all the way down that way is a kind of a new development, and this seems to be moving okay. I would call this probably the kind of queue that they would call an hour on the board. When I walked into the park today, I happened to check the that board they have over there by Plaza Inn, and it said 45 minutes for Rise, and I was like, my gosh, that's not a good. That's not good. Oh yeah, okay, it's not 45 anymore. That says 75 minutes on that board right there. That says 75. So that makes sense out there in Section 4. I would not get in this queue right now for a multitude of reasons. Namely, you can find better opportunities. Wait until fireworks or something, a cavalcade. There's no parade right now. Wait for some other event, or just wait a little, because you're not going to do worse than 75. It's not like it's going to grow to 80, 85, 90, 100. That's not going to happen. The only direction this thing could go is down. So just bide your time. As a matter of fact, I'd be watching. If it stays 75 for a while, the longer it stays 75, the more likely I would to get into the queue, because that's a call to action to stay away. That number says don't get in here, that's a long queue, people are going to go find something else to do. But if they keep that number up there, the longer they keep that 75, the longer that call to action to stay away is active, the shorter the queue will get. 30, 45 minutes maybe? I might check back over here. I wonder if we'll have an opportunity to do that. So I will put that in a mental note after we're done going through Galaxy's Edge. And we may or may not remember to come back here, but I'd be willing to bet if we come back here in 30, 45 minutes, that even though the wait time might be 75, but the back of the queue will be inside of where we found it right now, over there in Section 4. Reasonably crowded in here in the marketplace. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna pull over. Hi guys, how's it going? And just grab some shade on here and check out the tip board real quick. Let's see, Alice in Wonderland 25, Astro Orbiter 25, pretty standard. Autopia 25, standard I guess ish. Big Thunder 25. What is this? Are we in some kind of 25 zone? Okay, 2-hour return time. Buzz is 40. Wow. Buzz is 40. Let's see, Gadgets is 25. There we go again. Dumbo's 25. What's happening? Nemo is 30. That's pretty standard. Indiana Jones is up to 60. We had it at 45. I said there's no way that's a 45, at least not according to Disney standards, so it is up to 60. Small World is 25. That's a heat thing. I'll be interested to see how long that queue looks. Jungle Cruise is down to 20. Mad Tea Party 10. Winnie the Pooh's 20. It went up. Matterhorn is at 55. Okay, I like the look of that. That's going to be a busy queue when we get there. Matterhorn at 55 with almost a 2.5 hour return time. Runaway Railway 40, standard-ish. Smuggler's Run 15. I'm worried about Smuggler's Run, man. Like, it's too bad there's not a way that they could just undo a decision and undo. You can't. They're so far committed, but that ride is not performing like the kind of ride it's supposed to be, that it was billed to be. An anchor, a second anchor to Galaxy. They made 2 rides here. And it's just chewing up a whole bunch of acreage. And they tried to save it with Mandalorian. I don't know, man, 20 minutes right now, and that's 15. And again, that's the kind of queue you want to be in on a hot day. It's got air conditioning. Boy, that really has me worried. I might have to do some analysis on that. A separate commentary. Okay, Toad's 15, Peter Pan 30 standard, Pinocchio 15 standard, Pirates 25 standard, Roger Rabbit's 50 standard. We'll find that queue before you even get to the prop room when we get there. Snow White 15, Space Mountain 50. I mean, that's a busy day. Star Tours 25 again. They got rides still at 75 on this So that's still a thing. The longer it stays 75, as I was just saying, the more likely it is I'm gonna go get in that queue. Canal Boats is 20, and Tiana's is up to 55. That went up 5 minutes. And there you go, take care. You know what I mean? Like, how can you undo this, right? How can you take that? What else can you do in here? It was purpose built to be the exact kind of attraction that it is. It's not like you can, if you repurpose it, it would still be a simulator and pods and all that stuff. What would be better than the Millennium Falcon for that attraction? It's such a shame that this beautiful situation that they've created here, it's absolutely breathtaking, and nobody wants to go in there. Maybe Ryan Gosling can save Star Wars? Because Mandalorian was the biggest thing. They failed on the sequel trilogies, but the Mandalorian was great on Disney+. That was their one thing that they can say, yeah, it's great. Maybe you could put Ezra, make this a Star Wars Rebels ride, because Ezra's awesome. But that was the next thing that they could go to. Maybe Ryan Gosling, and then turn this into a Ryan Gosling ride. Pay him $10 million to provide voice work, do a little acting like they did with Poe Dameron at Rides. I just can't remember the last time I've seen any kind of big wait time here. It's 15 minutes right now. There's nobody checking in.
Find out where I can go?
And this is after updating the ride. You know, it wasn't that long ago when I remember making the right turn here and saying, nope. You know, I would see the back of the queue up there, or I'd even see the back of the queue down here, and I would just immediately turn around and say, that's a nope. It wasn't that long ago that I did that. You know, how did we get here? And then again, that's the back of the queue. That's pretty much where we found it last time, 2 weeks ago. Although, 2 weeks ago, I will admit, we were met with a lot of guests coming in the queue, more than I usually see. But that's still a very short back of the queue right there. We're getting something similar to that, actually, as I exit now. No, not quite as severe as it was before, but just had to pass by a few guests. Disney's still, regardless of those 10 guests that I just passed, that's not going to save this attraction. They must be just wringing their hands over the performance, the poor performance of this attraction. You got to think they were expecting more. You got to think they were looking for 30, 45 minutes, right? Hi guys. Oh, there's another train of. Look at this. How does this happen every time? I walk in, there was nobody. I walk in, there's nobody in the queue, and now there's just maybe it's that 15 minutes. Now it's just a steady stream of guests coming up on my left. That's fascinating. Two trips in a row have I encountered this. You know, interestingly, I shot a video years ago. I was posted up in that spot right there, and I was clocking the queue. And I watched Standby versus Lightning Lane. By the way, they just bumped it to 25. And I would say 90% of the guests were going through Lightning Lane, and 10% of the guests were going through Standby. I think these guys are Lightning Lane here, but you can see most of the guests are going through Standby now. I mean, you don't need Lightning Lane for this. Oh, they are going Standby. Wow. But it was just a constant flow, a steady flow of guests going left into Lightning Lane and hardly anybody going right. And now it's, years later, it's the opposite. That's got to worry them. I don't see how it couldn't. And the thing is, like I said, there's no solution. There's no plan B here, except for, you know, modifying it to show the Mandalorian now instead of Hondo, which was a mistake, I gotta tell you. You brought out the Millennium Falcon. Hi, how are you? But you had to put Hondo in there. Although it's funny because I did say Star Wars Rebels. I mean, that's not gonna. I was kidding. Ezra and Star Wars Rebels would not move the needle here at all, because Hondo is in Rebels. He's in Rebels and he's also in the Clone Wars, right? Do I have that right? It's been a while since I've watched Rebels. Is he in that show? Looks like we missed Darth Vader again. I will not stick around and wait for him this time, but that doesn't seem to be really moving the needle here much either. The state of Galaxy's Edge is less than people were expecting. And, you know, we're saying that now years later after having a lot of time to evaluate and, you know, to see how things are going. It has not worked out the way they thought it would. Okay, so good news is that I remembered to come back to Rise to check in on the queue. Bad news is that they already took it down to 60. So that means I was right in that one sense, but now we can't see if now it's down to 50. So we can't see if I was right. You're too late, I guess. Well, maybe not. Right on time. We're right on time. That's the back of the queue in section 2. You guys see? Do you see? Do you see what I'm talking about? That 75 scared people, right? It scares people to stay away. How fewer people are entering the queue, the back of the queue gets shorter and shorter. We found that it was here. These 2 switchbacks were full. That entire section there was full. All this was full here. Everything was full. They're in section 2 now. And not even all of that, half of section 2, right? Now I thought it might be too late because they've already brought the time down, but it would be too late if you were somewhere else. If you're here right now and they just brought it down, you're good, right? You're here now, you're getting a 50-minute wait, probably less than that, probably in section 2, more like 40 to get to the Ray room. But if you're over there in Toontown and you say, oh my gosh, Rise has gone from 75 to 50, you're probably too late. You won't get here in time, and that queue will grow again. And maybe I'll try to remember again to look at the tip board, perhaps, and see what Rise looks like when we get over to Toontown. I did a video, it's been a couple years now, called 8 Expert Hacks. And one of those 8 expert hacks was something I called do the opposite. When the queue is longer than it should be, longer than it's expected to be, that's when you get in. Or let it marinate a little bit on that time. And when the queue, and if you see a Rise queue that's, hi, how are you? Hi guys. If you see a Rise queue that's like 35 or 40 minutes, if you're not already in the queue, it's probably too late. So the opposite of seeing a good wait time is to get out, not to get in. I mentioned that because these are not just theories and things that a YouTuber says for clicks and views and things like that. It has no backing. I have studied this. I watch queues for a living. I've studied this. I've seen this happen over and over and over again. It's the reason why I made that video, because these are things that I have done over and over and over again. I've seen it constantly. So it was no surprise to me at all. It's no surprise to me that after seeing that 75-minute posted wait time, which is high, super duper high for Rise of the Resistance these days. It's not as intimidating as it used to be. That is a super duper high wait time. I knew it would be enough to keep people away. And if I came back just a half an hour later, I would find a situation like that. And now we have arrived at Fantasyland, and I stopped at Red Rose real quick to get some ice. And I have to show you guys something before we get into the rest of Fantasyland proper. I found, like, what in the world is going on here at Red Rose Tavern? People love Red Rose Tavern today. That's the back of the standby queue right now to order. This is standby. On my right. Hopefully that's clear. And it's actually gotten worse. And it's fascinating to me that we see this sometimes. This is why we gotta go mobile order, you guys. You gotta, what is the mobile order right now? Let's just take a look real quick. Let's see, 18 minutes. You could easily place that order and beat this queue. That's way more than 13 minutes, this queue right now. Out the door like it is, it's incredible. So definitely we have, ascended. There's a definite ascension in the crowds today. It is back to bonkers a little bit. I wonder, did they sell out today? No, I know I showed earlier today that it was still available today, but I thought maybe they had sold out since then, but no, they have not. But this is the kind of day, well, I don't know, man. This feels pretty dang busy. I'm not gonna lie, this feels pretty dang busy. Although we haven't really seen any sort of catastrophic waits. We saw the 75 minutes for Rise for just a blip, and then it came back down. Casey Jr., virtual walk-on right there because there are 2 trains. Pinocchio is outside the threshold, probably 20 minutes or so, but still not nearly as bad as it could be. We'd find the queue out here on a bad day. Oh, there you go, Snow White, out the threshold, into wild space, hugging the fence, along the queue. It's been a minute since we've seen a Snow White out here, or a Peter Pan out there in Merlin's section. They're still not using the outer switch, but that's usually almost always the case. And they're also not using these actually 4 chains out here. I don't know what it is. They don't want people in here. They just don't want people in those queues, in those switchbacks. It's only on the busiest of days will those be full. But this is still pretty busy for Peter Pan. Pretty standard queue there for Toads. They're gonna call that probably 20 is my guess. Wow. The thing is that the queues are, 20. The queues are fairly normal. It's just there's a lot of madness, a lot of mayhem in the streets right now. Like I'm having trouble maneuvering. Okay, there we go again. Maneuvering around the crowd sometimes. Okay, Dumbo. Yeah, they're back there in that extended area, so they're gonna call that 25, I'm guessing. Oh, yeah, 25, gosh, look at me. Look at me. No parades, no cavalcades right now. I don't know if there's, the 70th, thank goodness, is winding down. But I think they're still doing the cavalcade. But Mad Tea Party looks like, I was gonna say, so normally you would see some congestion here if there were gonna be one. Sometimes my brain moves faster than I'm able to speak. Mad Tea Party, 2, maybe 3 rotations, but definitely 2. But even at 3, that's still just a, 12-minute wait, probably? There you go. See, we keep finding little pockets of craziness. It's like it wants to be busy. It's trying its hardest to get there. It's trying so hard to be busy. That's the Alice queue right there. I can't see the board from here, but I think that says 20 or 30, I'm not sure. But it's this that's got me observing. You don't often see it wrap around out here in wild space like this. The worst I ever saw when it went all the way down to the restrooms down there. But this is not a good, I mean, this is still an easy queue. I would still, given everything else that's happening, just go ahead and get in this queue. This is probably still gonna be just 20, 25 minutes. Little pockets of insanity here, but not like complete insanity, maybe just mild hysteria. I mentioned I was curious what was happening with the Matterhorn queue. It was posted 60 when we looked at the tip board. It doesn't look that bad now. We're gonna hold on to that though. We're gonna come back to Matterhorn on our way out. You see what I mean? See what I mean? It's like, it's chaotic. It can't make up its mind. Storybook Land. Practically dead. That's 5 minutes. 5-minute wait for Storybook Land right now. Empty queue, empty, empty, empty. Half of that is empty. You'll be in your boat in less than maybe 5-7 minutes. See you guests on our way to Small World. What in the world? What kind of day is this? This is fun. This is really fun. What did we say now? Small World was 25 on the tip board, which is high for Small World, but on a hot day, you would love to be inside that building, being sung to in many different languages for, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes, that'd be great. Yeah. Calling it, that board right there says 15 minutes, but that's the back of standby right there. Look at that. How are they calling that 15 minutes? We're borderland Christmas time queues here. It should be double that, at least on the board. I mean, they're not using these outer switchbacks, which when it's the holidays, yes, these outer switchbacks are all full. But that's a pretty good wait right there, you guys. That is a solid wait for Small World. This is 20, 25 minutes probably, not 15. Now, getting back to our D23 conversation, we're gonna talk about Tomorrowland when we get there. Before we get into Toontown, let's cover one other thing that I think is gonna happen here because that's the major one, Tomorrowland. But I do think we're gonna get some kind of new concept art, possibly a range of dates, or not dates, a year for Coco. I think we're gonna get a year for Coco and some new concept art, but probably nothing beyond that. I think that's all we're gonna get for Coco. And you can hear now that we have arrived at the Bluey show, our bi-weekly checkup on how popular this show is remaining. The show you're hearing now started at 1:40. It is 1:49 as we arrive, so we should be mid-show, which we should still see a reasonably good-sized crowd, at least in terms of them staying, not having left yet. And yeah, it's still full. Wow, that's impressive, actually. That's really impressive. I mean, there are seats. You can slide in there as a 1 or a 2. Maybe occasionally there might be a spot for 3 people. But you've missed the show if you're a fairly good-sized group. If you're 4 or more, you've missed the show. That's the show. Bluey. I wonder how the one in Animal Kingdom is doing. I feel like this show is considerably better, I'll say that. I've seen the Animal Kingdom show. It's meh at best. This show is considerably better. I mean, they got it banned. They've got a ban. That right there is already way ahead of what's happening there. Like, some things they should just say no to. They need a guy. Disney's really in need of somebody who understands. I don't know. It seems like an obvious no. Having seen that show at Animal Kingdom, and what what they had to do to the conservation center to make that show happen. It's such a square peg in a round hole. They're trying to squeeze something out of it. They're just trying to capture Bluey, but in a way that is actually detrimental. Like the way the conservation center was before is superior in my opinion. Even if you love Bluey, it just doesn't work. I don't like it there. It doesn't make any sense. And no, and you need a guy. There needs to be more allowance for people to say no. It's one thing on the idea. The idea sounds great, but then the execution. And once they execute, they're like, you know what? Maybe guys, this kind of sucks. Somebody has to say this kind of sucks. I don't know. Just a thought. And since we're talking about traveling to other parks, may I also remind you guys of our affiliation with GetAwayToday. They are our preferred travel affiliate. They schedule all of our trips, all of our plans to Walt Disney World, etc. And they're amazing. And we love those guys, and we just want to make sure that you guys are aware of GetAwayToday, the nicest, kindest, most intelligent, thoughtful group of folks that are going to plan your Disney trip you'll ever come across. It's easy for somebody to say, hey, we're cheaper than GetAwayToday, which by the way, they can't be because they will match offers. It's easy to say that, it's easy to compete on price, but where they can't compete with GetAwayToday is on their customer service, which is incredible. They are amazing. So if you're thinking about planning a trip to Disneyland or Disney World, use the link in the description, let them know we sent you, and I hope you guys have a great trip. And are those cricket sounds new? I don't remember there being the sound of crickets in here before. Anyway, let's go check in on Roger Rabbit. We saw a 50-minute, I think it was 50 posted when we looked at the tip board earlier. One thing we can always count on is this gross array of strollers here out in front of the entrance to Roger Rabbit. Not a fan of this. I do hope they find some kind of solution, but we have to now navigate our way through this, and we can't check. Roger Rabbit is closed. We got wing down. One flap is down. That means it's a closed attraction. So that also means a whole mess of people are going to be crowding into the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway queue. If you see Roger Rabbit down, that's a great opportunity or a great sign to just don't come to Toontown. Maybe come back when Roger Rabbit opens, because that not only does that give you 2 attractions, but it also takes the pressure off the other 2. So now anybody who's here who just wandered into Toontown to find Roger Rabbit closed, to find probably a big ass queue at Runaway Railway. And I'm seeing on the door it says 55 minutes. And the back of the queue is out here in this room, so they're using all of it. Oh, they're taking pictures, but the back of the queue is right there. There it is. So not much further off. Once they get in the queue, oh my gosh. So they've even arranged it to the point where they've included the picture spot in the queue. Most times, people just skip the picture spot and they go straight into the queue. But they've got the chain up over here, which now routes people here. So now it's queuing everybody up to take a picture with Perfect Pic. I haven't seen this happen since opening day. I have not seen this situation develop since opening day. That's fascinating. And you see that chain up, and then you see other people taking pictures. You think everybody does it now. Where nobody would do it before, now everybody does it. It's this weird sort of social whatever you call it, phenomenon. It's kind of fascinating. We are definitely at 3 or 4 now straight groups of guests that have, instead of just moving through the queue, stopped to take a picture. Let's see if these guys stop. Yep. Oh no, he's gonna, no, they don't want it, okay. But I think the next group will. Fascinating. Yep, okay, isn't that wild? Humans are awesome. I love humans. We're a weird, wacky, wild bunch, aren't we? Let's go check in on the water filter queue next. That's become part of our weekly stops. It's not long enough where they need to bend the queue, that's good. But if it gets a little, well, yeah, it's starting to now. See how it's going straight out? It's going straight out now. Again, humans are a weird, wacky bunch. We can't bend the queue on our own. They just go in a straight line. All right. Minnie's house is packed. That's 30 minutes right there. That's Minnie's house. It's a good thing. Yeah, bring your umbrellas, guys. It is just really hot out here today. Okay. And I'm sure Mickey's will be something similar. We saw the back of the queue at that organ-looking thing for Mickey. That was incredible last time. But we will keep moving and check out gadgets next, which I don't even have to see it, but I'm expecting a 30-minute wait or so. Let's see. Exactly that, 30 minutes, because I saw the back of the queue out here. It's at Chip's Butt. There's a lot of butts. A lot of butts in the gadgets queue. It's hot, guys. 2 frog butts, Chip's Butt. Those are markers that I use. It looks like Dale's, he could use a new finish. He's getting very washed out there. Chip looks good. Dale a little washed out. But anyway, back of the queue is at Chip's Butt. That's a good 30 minutes wait right there. Okay, next topic of conversation as we make our way back to the Matterhorn for the D23 side story that we've got going here. I am not expecting anything toward third gate. I'm not expecting any news regarding the Toy Story parking lot, Disneyland Forward, or any of that. I do not think that they're going to announce anything. Certainly, it's not. I've said it before, and I keep saying it, but people don't want to believe me. There's never been a plan. There's never been a plan to make a third gate out of the Toy Story parking lot. That has never been a plan. The only plans that have been revealed to us is for mixed use, hotel, retail, and it's a light entertainment, but not an actual theme park. It's too small. I know the square footage says that it matches DCA, but there are restrictions at the Toy Story lot that shrink the size of that available space to the point where it's maybe 60, 65 acres if memory serves. I did the math on this once. Maybe 60 acres, which is, I guess it's just not enough. It's not enough to constitute a full park. And I really don't think that's the business they want. I don't think they want to make a third gate. I think they want to grow the existing parks. And by the way, it doesn't make any difference if it's a third gate or not. That doesn't, in terms of revenue. All they need to do is sell tickets. So when they increase in Disneyland Forward, let's say they add 40 acres worth of, maybe 30, 40 acres or whatever. That 30, 40 acres allows them to sell 40 acres worth of tickets, more tickets than they could before. They can't, there's not an unlimited supply of tickets that they can sell here to the park. There's a max. There's a max that they can sell, and that's relative to the capacity of the aggregate of all the attractions that are here. All the shops, attractions, dining locations, each one of them has a fixed number of guests assigned to it. This attraction is worth 5,000 guests, etc. And then you add all that up, and that's your total. That's how many tickets you can sell. You can sell only as many tickets as can fit into all the attractions. So if you grow the existing park by 40 acres, you also grow the number of tickets that you can sell. So the third gate doesn't necessarily generate any new revenue for the park. It's not financially more beneficial to do that. They just need to add more space. That's what Disneyland Forward is supposed to be. The Simba lot and the downtown Disney, cast member parking lot of the Disneyland Hotel. And with that, we have arrived at the Matterhorn, and my goodness, where I thought I saw a light queue, it is certainly not the case any longer. Although the board from here looks to be blank. Is she open? There's no number. Oh, there it is, 45. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. I mean, you guys could see it, right? You can see the queue out here in wild space like that. Everything is full in there. They're definitely left of tree, and they're in. This is a sick wild space queue. Hi guys, how are you? This is a ridiculously long. Hi guys. Fans of the show are in this queue. If they watch this later on, they're gonna go, oh no, we should have gotten out of this queue. This is really big. That is a big wild space queue. I wonder if they need to do some queue maintenance. They gotta open up. Oh, she just opened up tree lamp right here. I was just gonna say they gotta open tree lamp. That's a starter, and they just did. So tree lamp is open. They're not in 1 or 2. Oh no, you gotta do more than 1 or you got a tree lamp, guys. You gotta open up 1 and 2. That's why it's still 45 minutes. I was here on Friday, and they were in extended 3. You guys, this is extended 1 right here. See where that chain crosses right there? That's the extended 1 mark. So when they grow it, they'll first grow it here, and they'll U-turn the guests that way from here. And then when that gets too full, they'll send it out to extended 2. Not these chains, actually. It's the second chains up here. That's extended 2. They were out there in extended 3. The went all the way down to where those trees are. Extended 3 did. That was a sick queue that I did a lot of recon on that, which I may or may not be referencing later on in memberships or Patreon. But I've spent a lot of time here looking at queues on that day. I'm getting ready for the app. I'm doing a lot of math and science and stuff, a lot of recon for the Fresh Baked app, which, by the way, even though the app is not quite ready yet, and we're still working on that, it is still a place where you can buy this awesome shirt. This awesome shirt that I'm wearing, this is my uniform here on a hot day when I do State of Disneyland reports. Those shirts are available at freshbakedpresents.com, and that's where you'll find the app as well. And by the way, we are working on making that like a proper app that you can download from the App Store, etc. But for now, anyway, hang in there with us on that. Guys, I've seen so many cool things. I hope it works. That's all I'm saying. It's so awesome. All the things that they're adding into this thing. It's such a fresh baked thing. Nobody's doing what we're doing. Nobody is doing what Fresh Baked is doing. Okay, and that brings us to Tomorrowland, which we'll be talking about D23. But first, let's observe Finding Nemo. That's a pretty decent queue for Finding Nemo. It's been a while since we've seen it out here in these switchbacks. I'm looking forward to the days when that happens again. But it's been a minute for that. Let's check in on Autopia real quick while we're here. 15-minute posted wait time up there, and 3 risers worth. That's a pretty good queue, you guys. I don't know how 15 minutes that is. That might be more. That actually might be more than 15 minutes. 3 risers. Are they in the rotunda though? Maybe that's why. I don't think they're going around, no. Yeah, they're shipping, no, that's Lightning Lane that they're shipping now. Good sized Lightning Lane queue there as well. Autopia, I do think it's possible. They mentioned this, they mentioned the update to electric vehicles here. That's already been sort of confirmed, and they're working on it, and it's supposed to happen in 27. I don't know if it rises to a D23 mention, because it's just going from gas to electric. I don't know if that's going to make people crazy. I don't know if that's worth a round of applause, but it is something that's probably worth confirming. Maybe they show some concept art of what updates they're planning to make inside the attraction, which, as I understand it, it's not going to be just a change to electric. They're also going to be adding some new scenes in there, probably taking out Osimo and Bird and putting in something else, something that's more, environmentally friendly as the vehicles are, something closer to perhaps the Epcot test track changes. Not overt. They're not going to close it up or anything like that. It's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be audio commentary, but just maybe they do. Maybe they pipe in some sound into the vehicles. Oh, that'd be interesting. So it's worth mentioning that that's a possibility. And before we get into the rest of our Tomorrowland discussion, let me take a break here because I've been following social today, just kind of watching as we do. And it looks like Drew Smith, Drew the Disney Dude on X, has posted what the Imagineering or the Disney Experiences booth, the showcase at D23, is going to be featuring. And on that list is the usual stuff, but it does say Avatar California Adventure. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen, I don't know where that information comes from. But if Drew is saying Avatar California Adventure, I have to believe that that's because they said California Adventure. So I do think he would make that distinction. So they are going to be talking about Avatar at the showcase, and that means they're probably going to get some sort of mention at the panel as well. So there you go, Avatar California Adventure. Let's go to Space Mountain. You couldn't see that, but I could. That was a posted 45-minute wait time. Look at this sea of guests, though, that are saying, yes, I agree with that. I would like to take part in a 45-minute wait for Space Mountain. I kind of feel like maybe this ride was broke down for a minute because this does not make any sense. I'm looking into that building from here. You can't see it, but I can. It is not full. That 45-minute posted is probably accurate. At least it's accurate for the minute. This is one of those do the opposite. If you're not already here, if you're coming from, oh, I forgot to check Toontown. I forgot to check the app. I'll check that in a second. But if you're coming from the other side of the park and you see 45 minutes, you're probably too late. But the door is 60, and they got to get in here and do some queue maintenance because I can see they've still got some of these chains closed off. They're not using any of that right there. They're using half of the middle stretch and obviously all of that stretch over there. But they've got to. This is not going to last. This is going to change quickly. I just checked the app and it's 65 minutes now for rides. So that 45 minutes is not a thing anymore. That's a thing of the past. And nor will this 45 minutes at Space Mountain be a thing in just a little bit, just a few minutes. It's starting to come out the door, right? It's starting to come out the door. It's going to back up that way. They're going to have to do some chain maintenance here in short order to get these people out of the sun. And here it comes, guy. Here he comes, just right on cue. It was about maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago that we saw that 45 minutes, and I said, "Hi guys, how are you?" And I said, "It's already too late. If you're not already here, and maybe even now, it's probably too late. If you're getting here right now, it's too late." We're going to see what's going to happen here, and I'm going to stand by for a few minutes. I just watched that cast member go into the building. He's going to start working on those chains, and then we're going to see what this queue looks like in another 5 minutes. And I don't know if you can see that through here. I don't want to go back in there. I don't want anybody to think I'm cutting, but there's that cast member, and he's extending. First, he's going to extend that middle section up there. He's going to make that. He's going to use both of the switchbacks. They're using just one there, so that's going to make an immediate impact. And then he'll work on those 1, 2, 3, 4 switchbacks over here on the far right side. So there they go. That queue is being shifted now. You can see the movement, and it's going to create a false sense of. Sorry, I had that out of range, but. You can see they're moving. It's going to create a false sense of movement now because all this is going to quickly move to fill in those space. And then it's going to happen again. He's already over here on this side. You can't see it through the glare, but there he is. He's already filling in that side over there. This queue that is developed out here is all quickly going to become an indoor queue. That'll happen in the next couple of minutes. And then we'll really know what the status is here. And his work is done. And that big old queue that was out here just a minute ago will swiftly dissipate into the interior building, and we are now an hour. I think that's the back of the queue, right? I think, yeah, there it is. Not quite in the door, so that's an hour. Do the opposite, but you have to be on time. The timing is everything. If you want to play in that 45-minute queue, you had to have been here right now. I observed that. I've been out here for maybe 5-6 minutes, I think, maybe 10. I don't know, but it's certainly a case where, well, it is already too late because, it's only been 10 minutes, but it's now an hour, right? You would have had to be here right then when I was filming for you to take advantage of what we just saw in there. For you to take advantage of what was it, like 6 or 7 different switchbacks. They've added 15 minutes worth of guests into this space since I've been here, 15 minutes. So Avatar at DCA, huh? All right. What about Tomorrowland? Whatever version, 3.0, I guess? I don't know. What about new Tomorrowland? For as long as I've been covering Disneyland, we're going on our 6th, I think this is going to be our 6th D23, sort of filming this park in 2012. So what is that? That's 14 years, 13 years, maybe 7th? I don't know. No, probably 6th now, maybe 7th, I don't know. Every single year, from the very first one, it was, are we going to get an announcement for new Tomorrowland? That was the talk at the very first D23 I ever went to. Are we going to get a new Tomorrowland? And every year since then, it's been the same question. And the answer has always been no, every year. The people have said, yeah, I think it might happen. I'm hearing things. But the answer finally was no. But this year, 2026, this year, it's still no. We're not getting it. No new Tomorrowland, you guys. No new Tomorrowland. As we've discussed in the past, the stuff they're doing at Finding Nemo recently, the stuff they're doing at Autopia, that points to them staying put, standing pat, sticking with what they have now and just improving that. So I'm not expecting any sort of new Tomorrowland announcement. Nothing. I don't even think they're going to talk about Autopia for that matter. I really don't. They could, but I don't know if that's a big enough deal. So no new Tomorrowland, nothing in the showcase, nothing in the panels. At best, we're going to get an Autopia mention. Single rider's packed. That's the back of the queue right here. Although they're not against the wall, it looks like it's a single file line, but I would call that probably, they go in like groups of 6, 8, maybe 10. So 1, 2, I'd say that's like 4 groups at least. Figure 3 or 4 minutes per group. So you're looking at 20 minutes out here and maybe another 10 inside. Certainly it's better than 60 minutes standby, but just don't expect, any walk-on freebies at the single rider at Space Mountain. Not right now, not in the middle of the day like this. Look at the crowd out here, man. I mean, that's a pretty good sight. This is a pretty good showing, I feel like. I'm not sure if this is as busy as it was this time last year, but it's darn close. And we're getting there. But as I mentioned at the outset of this show, right after we did a State of Disneyland report, we're like, this is sold out. This is what a sold out park looks like. Maybe 2 weeks later, at most 4, I was scratching my head again about the empty crowds in September. So we have that to look forward to. For those of you who are like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. It's packed. I've got the video. I can show you what it looked like in September. So that's what I'm expecting, is more of the same. For whatever reason, the parks, they reacted right after Halloween came. Hi guys. They showed up for the opening week or so of Halloween, and then they started staying away again. And this was last year. So this is not a new situation, not a new development. This is now years of this happening in the parks. And that is a good sized queue for Star Tours. They're in detention. I don't know how many switchbacks are in there, but it's more than a few. It's got to be if they're also out here, because they don't want these people out here in the sun if they can help it. It's posted 25, but that's the longest 25 I think I've seen here in some time. Meanwhile, they're calling Astro Blasters 40 minutes. Fascinating. When you see that there's nobody in Lightning Lane right now. And usually for a 40-minute queue, you might find all these chains full. You might even find the queue in Wild Space. So this would be, that's the outbound. So there would be, if it was busy, and I've seen it, I've got footage of this too, a queue going in this direction that hasn't, not outside the chains, in Wild Space. That would be, hi guys, that would be something closer to 45 minutes. I don't know if this is 40. I mean, they don't look like they're really having a good time now. It's just hot, you guys. It's hot and sweaty, and there's not a lot of cover, but they are out here in this little extended section, and obviously they would also be out there in Pixie Hollow. I mean, that is a busy queue. It's just not bonkers. We're not quite all the way to insanity, maybe mildly hysterical. Not even that, just somewhat, Full house in the fire truck. That's my guy, Steve. He's been here a while. Seems like he's the only guy that drives a fire truck. I only ever see Steve. Steven, who used to be my old favorite fire truck driver, he is now working Indiana Jones. I saw him. He helped me find my phone when I lost it on our Every Ride Challenge Day. Bringing us to Frontierland. Pretty full boat over there at Big Thunder. They're using maybe 2/3 of that queue out there. Seeing that, I would expect something like 45 minutes on the board when we get there. And we've got a 40 minutes, which is about right. Yeah, that's pretty nominal for Big Thunder. Not excessive in either direction, so standard. Good turnout today, guys, here at Disneyland. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of everybody coming up and showing up for Disneyland. Let's hope that it keeps on that way and we don't get another drawdown like we saw in September last year. But the crowds are starting to pick up here in the park, and it makes me feel good. Glad to be able to participate in that today. Stay tuned for our coverage from D23. We're going to be there for 3 days probably. We're going to the 2 big panels at least, and I'll check out the showcase as well on the floor. That's always one of our favorite places to be. Well, probably is my favorite place to be. First place I go for D23. I open the gates and I head straight for the showcase. That's coming up later this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.